A massive Canucks signing is imminent as multiple NHL insiders drop an early signing report that will have Canucks fans treating July 1st like it's Christmas morning. But how much will it cost is the question on everybody's minds that we can't wait to find out. We're going to be breaking down all that in this episode of Canucks Digest. But first, if you're not subscribed yet, you want to stay up to date on all things Canucks as we head into free agency, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss a single beat. And with that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is Demko extension incoming. So earlier today, Frank Saravalli tweeted out that sources say Canucks and goaltender Thatcher Demko are closing in on a contract extension that will keep him in Vancouver. Demko is eligible to sign an extension as soon as tomorrow, obviously tweeting this out earlier today on the 30th, and it sounds like that will indeed happen, with Darren Dreger doubling down on it as well, replying saying that it will get done. Sounds like they've agreed on term, but still some work being done on money and structure. Love to see it. They've locked down how many years that they got to do. But the big question is of the money, which we're going to touch on in just a few minutes here. But overall, this is awesome because now this will leave Demko signed alongside goaltenders Artur Silovs and Kevin Lankinen on Vancouver's roster. And we just drafted Medvedev the other day in the second round. Lankinen is set to begin a 5-year, $22.5 million deal next season, while Silovs is scheduled to become a restricted free agent after next season, where teams can offer sheet. And we can kind of see what's going to happen from there if Silovs is not traded before then, because that is the big news going around Vancouver right now, is that Silovs could be on his way out. He could be the one that's pawned off instead of Thatcher Demko, unless the Canucks are trying to do a sign and trade kind of deal like they did, like we just saw with Mitch Marner going from Toronto over to Vegas. I do not think that's going to be the case here, as like we've been saying for the past couple of episodes now, where it's been a question of which goalie are you going to trade. You know that Lankinen signed down for a decent deal, so he's not going to be going anywhere. And then with Artur Silovs and Thatcher Demko, that leaves those two suspects. But with Thatcher Demko, he is still a Vezina caliber goaltender, so for the Canucks to want to go with that to remain competitive, it would make sense despite all the health concerns. But Demko at 29 had a 10-8-3 record last season with the Canucks, recording a 2.9 goals against average and an 88.9 save percentage. He missed the first 2 months of the season while dealing with lower body injury, that really fluke knee injury that even doctors that have been practicing for 50 years haven't been able to really properly diagnose. But he sustained it during the 23-24 playoffs, and he missed 15 games later in the season while dealing with a second lower body injury. And that is the big thing with Thatcher Demko, is despite being drafted 36 overall and having the record that he has with 126 wins, 89 losses, and only 20 overtime losses, 2.8 goals against average and a 91 save percentage, in his best season coming off of when he finished second in Vezina Trophy voting, where he went 35-14-2. All of this considered, he still hasn't been able to stay fully healthy, because when you look at his stats throughout the seasons, you look at the amount of games played, and it's not nearly as much as some of these other goaltenders that we've seen around the league that get a ton of games in. Yes, you got to rotate him in and out because you don't want to get one goalie worn down too much. But with the Vancouver Canucks, they haven't been able to get Thatcher Demko to the full extent they've been wanting to get out of him since they drafted him. There's been great flashes and great stretches, but still haven't been able to piece together a full, complete, all-around amazing season. Yes, he finished second in Vezina voting. Had he not gotten injured, he probably would have won first, or maybe even better, or maybe even would have repeated again had he not been hurt this year as well. So who knows what could have happened. That's all in the past. We can't dwell on that too much. But at the end of the day, Thatcher Demko is a Vezina caliber goalie, and that is what you need to make a serious playoff push. When you look at the past Stanley Cup winning teams, what is the major thing that they all have in common? Goaltending, and great goaltending at that. You look at Sergei Bobrovsky, Andrei Vasilevsky. You look at the history of goaltenders that have won the Stanley Cup in the past decade or so. They're all fantastic. There's no Stuart Skinner in there that is winning a Stanley Cup and just fluking his way to winning one. There's no instances really like that where you see a goaltender that isn't a top-notch caliber goalie that really just outperforms everybody in the playoffs. Artur Silovs was maybe the only outlier you can name in recent memory, but even that came to an expiration date, and the clock struck midnight on Artur Silovs' Cinderella story with the Vancouver Canucks in that breakout season. But overall, this is going to be a huge contract for Thatcher Demko because they have the term locked down. It's probably going to be a lot of years. It can't go longer than 7, as we all know, with the new rules change, but we'll probably see him get locked down for probably 5 to 6 years. But that is going to lead us into our second topic of the day, which is the big one, is what is the price tag going to be? So we know that Thatcher Demko is going into the final year of a 5x5 contract where he's getting $5 million a year, $25 million total out of 5 years, which is pretty standard when you see at a lot of guys when they sign that second contract after their or after the early entry level one. And then he was able to kind of build from there, and he's really built quite an impressive resume despite not playing as much as he has, unfortunately. But when you look at how he's getting paid compared to other goaltenders in the league, he's down there at tied for 14th along with Linus Ullmark and Jussi Saros. He is a much better goaltender than all those guys. And then you look at towards the top where the past two Vezina goalie winners have been Sergei Bobrovsky and Connor Hellebuyck. Those guys are in the top 5 as far as highest paid per year and as well as for total contract. You see Bobrovsky there at number 3, and then you see Connor Hellebuyck at number 6 there, which could have been number 5, but they got the tie for 4th there, obviously. But overall, you're going to see Thatcher Demko springboard from down there at the bottom near 14 and 15 all the way up to easily within the top 5, I can imagine, especially with how we've seen the cap consistently go up and up and up, going from $5 million. I can definitely see him swinging his way up to maybe an 8-year deal. Maybe he's getting 8x5, maybe 8x6. I definitely see it being in the ballpark of about $6 to $8 million a year for Thatcher Demko. So it's going to mean a very big contract ahead. That'll put him in the top 5, absolutely. And he's definitely worthy of it, guys. I know that with the health things, it sucks. Yes, that is a very big factor with players, especially when they're highly valued players. But with Thatcher Demko, it's been such a tough decision, I guess, from front office standpoint. If I was Patrik Allvin, where you have a guy who is such a fantastic goaltender when he's fully healthy. The problem is he's not healthy very much. He's not healthy long enough. And in sports, the best ability is availability. Thatcher Demko, unfortunately, doesn't have that. But the thing is, he's too damn good that you can't get rid of him and let him go to another team and win a Stanley Cup when you're left there with Kevin Lankinen and Artur Shilovs, who are fine goalies. But at the end of the day, those aren't going to be the guys that get you a Stanley Cup. Shilovs, yes, he's at the beginning of his career. We still don't know what he's capable of. He could still absolutely explode. But the Canucks are in a position right now where they have to move on from one of these goalies before they see how that entire situation plays out. Kevin Lankinen, he's locked down. He's not going anywhere. They signed their deal with the Devil there. He's staying. So now you have Thatcher Demko, where you can wait it out and see how this injury saga is going to play out. If he can stay fully healthy, if he can't, who knows? Maybe he turns it around and can just have a 110% health season and just wins you a Stanley Cup. But if you move on from him because of that scare, then you have Artur Shilovs where you step in with the unknown commodity. So with the Canucks, they are probably going to be sticking with what they know. So unfortunately, what that will likely mean for Artur Shilovs is we won't get to see his full NHL potential within this Vancouver Canucks system. It sucks to see because he's been fitting in perfectly well within this culture. The fans love him. The team loves him, whether it's on the Abbotsford Canucks or the Vancouver Canucks. Everyone seems to love Artur Shilovs. So if you lose a guy like that to another team where he can just go on an absolute tear and make you regret it, it's going to bite the Canucks in the ass. But at the end of the day, they do hedge their bets with a Vezina caliber goalie. So that's the thing, is Thatcher Demko can't stay healthy and they move on from Artur Shilovs, you get bit there. Then if you move on from Thatcher Demko, he recovers and Artur Shilovs doesn't have that blossoming career like we all seem to hope he is going to have, then you get bit there. These are the risks that the Canucks are facing, and it looks like they're going with what they know as far as extending Thatcher Demko. Vezina caliber goalie, very well deserving of a massive contract, will likely put him in the top 5 highest paid goalies in the NHL. I don't imagine he's going to accept anything less than that. So definitely going to be something to look forward to tomorrow when we get the official details all coming out, and it's going to be a massive day tomorrow for the Vancouver Canucks, not just for Thatcher Demko, but for Conor Garland potentially, and some other guys. Brock Boeser, there could be an update there, whether he stays, whether he goes. Maybe, more likely than not, it's going to be that Brock Boeser is leaving. However, we still got to prepare for the worst and hope for the best, and that's what we're doing on Canucks Digest here, as tomorrow is going to be a very interesting day. So stay tuned to Canucks Digest, subscribe, and hit that bell icon because we're going to be dropping a lot of videos later on tonight and tomorrow. So stay tuned for all of that. You guys won't want to miss it. But for now, I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.